Hey Bat fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another Batman animated film. Now, I had already done this review, and I uploaded it. I don't know what the fuck happened, and I have a habit of, after I upload the video, I delete them off the tablet just to save space. And so, for some reason, it didn't save, so I gotta do it again. Fucking Gotham by Gaslight. 2018. I don't know why I did that. Well, I enjoy this film. So if it sounds like I'm ranting, it's because I'm doing this shit again. Now, before I did that, I did do a review of the comic book Gotham by Gaslight, which did upload. It is on here. And now, well, okay, so first, the story is Victorian-Era Gotham. Batman must go up against Jack the Ripper. But the story is that short. Very, very short book. So how do they make that into a 78-minute film when Killing Joke is probably twice that long and they struggled with it? Well, I think they learned their lesson for the Killing Joke, because the opening original short story prologue about Batgirl being all about Batgirl, her having sex with Batman, everything was pretty universally hated. So when it came to this one, they were like, well, why don't we just come up with something that pertains to the story, can expand upon the story. So that's what they did, and I like everything they did. Even the twist that I'm not super crazy about, I think works. So, like, well, what did they add? One, bunch of characters. Like Selina Kyle. She's not in the book. The three Robins, which I'll get to. Harvey Bullock. Solomon Grundy, who's not Solomon Grundy, he's Cyrus Gold, so this was before he became Grundy. Hugo Strange, if I haven't said that already. So yeah, they add a bunch of characters. They add a bunch of new stuff. Like, the book didn't have this sort of little side thing where they made Gotham's first World's Fair. Added some more killings. Oh, they also added Leslie Tompkins. So Jack the Ripper's running around killing these women, which actually opens up with Pamela Isley. But instead of being Poison Ivy, she's an exotic dancer. And part of her costume is like leaves and green. She's killed by the Ripper. And then we find these three young boys. From oldest to youngest is Dickie, Jason, and Timmy. Or little Tim. I don't remember if they're brothers or not. I think they're just friends, but either way, they're all orphans. Street kids, like a pickpocket and stuff. Batman beats up the guy that they answer to. Leslie Tompkins is a very sweet nun who looks after the homeless and the helpless of Gotham. Harvey Dent, who I also didn't mention, he's one of Bruce Wayne's friends. We get hints that he's two-faced in the sense that he's just a two-faced person. He doesn't actually have two faces. He's married, but he's in love with Selina. And, like, they want her to go out drinking with them, and she's like, oh, Harvey, when he drinks it, he's like he's a different person, a real Jekyll and Hyde. And it's Batman doing what he can to solve it. You know, like, Gordon gives him one of the letters sent to the press by the Ripper. Which, I really like everything they do with Batman in this period. Like, I didn't mention it in the comic review, but, like, you can see his eyes. Instead of a cape, it's like one of those, like, trench coats with the collar, like what Jack the Ripper wears. His grappling hook, instead of, like, metal or carbon fiber wires, it's rope. The Batcave is, like, up in the attic, so it's very archaic and sort of rustic. I love seeing that alternate version go that far with it. And I mean, obviously, it does follow the story. Like, eventually, Bruce gets fingered for being Jack the Ripper. Because he pieces together that the Ripper's probably going to go after Tompkins. Because she helps and houses, the kind of people he kills. So he races to her. There's this drunk, homeless old bag who sees him running towards her. And then she's killed. Sees him running away. So then at her funeral, she makes a scene like, I know you did it. And then she ends up dead. So that's why he gets fingered for it. And they do change the ending, which, spoiler alert, before I get spoilers, I do enjoy this. If you like seeing things that are different, fresh, and original, definitely check this out. If you like Batman in general or animated superhero films, definitely check it out. But also check out the comic. So in the comic, it was his Uncle Jake who killed because all women reminded him of Martha, whom he had a crush on. Wasn't really his uncle, it was one of his dad's friends who he knew was his uncle. And why he tried framing Bruce. Well, this is Commissioner Gordon, who had a rough upbringing with abusive nuns. He was a trained boxer, trained fighter, then he was a butcher. And he's waging this holy war against ultimate sinners, in this case, prostitutes. And I like how Selina goes to tell the commissioner that, Bruce is Batman, so you can't let him be in jail. But this is when we find out he's the Ripper, so he's like attacking her. I can't remember how she gets wounded, but she's bleeding. And that at the World's Fair, there's this big spotlight that's like the brightest light ever made. So she takes her blood and does like this crude bat shape. So we get the first bat signal. Batman finds out because he goes to Gordon's house. And he finds this secret room, with pictures, health books, anatomy books. His wife's all crazy. His wife has like acid burns because he burns the sins out of his family. And she's just as crazy. Well, also, Bruce Greenwood as Batman. He was also Batman in Under the Red Hood. I like Bruce Greenwood. He's probably my second favorite voice actor for Batman, behind Kevin Conroy. You have Jennifer Carpenter as Selina Kyle, who I think does a good job. At times, it feels like she's kind of trying to do like a Michelle Pfeiffer, I'm nobody's pet. Like very slow, droney, trying to be sexy and sinister at the same time. And Batman and Gordon had this big fight at the World Fairgrounds, whether it be on the Ferris wheel or on this Zeppelin. And like Gordon kills himself because he's handcuffed to a railing, and Batman's like, all right, let's go. And he just walks himself backwards into these flames. And by the end of it, you have, Alfred picks the both of them up in the carriage, and the three boys are with them. Because Alfred had called upon them for help earlier in the film, so now he has Dick, Jason, and Tim all together. And I really like this film. The first time I saw it, because this was probably the first Elseworlds animated film, whereas this was the first Elseworlds book. So like when I watched it, because the book doesn't have like any other characters in it besides like Alfred, Bruce, the Commissioner, and his Uncle Jake. I don't even think that has Bullock. This has Bullock. And so I'm watching it and I'm seeing like all these different versions of these characters. Like after the first killing, it opens up at the unveiling of the World's Fair, and it's like there's Harvey Dent, there's Gordon, there's Selina Kyle, there's Bullock, there's Hugo Strange. Strange has some theories about the Ripper, so Batman goes to see him about him, but the Ripper finds out and goes to see him as well. And of course, Strange just runs Arkham very horrifically. Like, he has this dungeon with this pit full of the worst patients. The Ripper throws him into the pit. And without blood, we see him get, like, ripped in half. Like, we see his arms and legs in the crowd, and it gets, like, separated. But this is a pretty bloody film. I mean, like, you don't really see the stabbing, but you see, like, the hand with the knife come up with blood going everywhere. I like how it says rated R, because this was the second rated R film after Killing Joke, for some violence. Even though this is the first one to drop the F-bomb. Because when they're looking for Batman at first, and he's wounded, he's running around looking for a place to go, and Selina's carriage picks him up. And there are these traffic stops. So they get undressed like they're in the middle of something. And the cop's like, sorry, Mr. Wade. And then as the carriage pulls away, one of the officers is just like, lucky fucker. So it drops the F-bomb, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I really gotta commend this film. I mean, it's as faithful as it can be for a for a story that's half this length, because this also has the sequel in it. But instead of adding some bullshit bonus original story, they add a bunch of stuff that's really cool. Like, since it's Elseworlds, since it's Elseworlds, I can accept that Gordon is the killer, even though Gordon's almost always the guy that always, backs Batman up and is the other symbol of upholding the law. But this one was different. They sold it well by giving him all this background stuff like fighter, butcher, religious fanatic. I love the idea of the three Robins all being brothers. And, be in the age of, oldest is Dick, youngest is Tim. And Dick is like the most compassionate one. And like the leader. Jason is still the abrasive punk hothead. And Tim is more of the one that, he's the youngest, but I guess he's still kind of the smartest. Like, he's like when Alfred has them drop something off for Batman, they don't know what it is. It's in a big crate. Jason's like, I say we take this, the horse, the wagon, and we get out of here. And Dick's like, nope, we're going to do the job. But Tim's the one that rationalizes it, like, well, he fed us. We should do this. I thought it was really neat first time I saw the three Robins. So yeah, I think they definitely learned from the Killing Joke. But again, with the Killing Joke, that's like a very sensitive story that you don't want to add anything to, because that could fuck it up. Whereas where this is so short, you really have no choice. But I think everything they added worked. Nothing felt out of place or stupid or unneeded. It all worked out. And yeah, I really like this animated film. Even as an adaptation. I mean, and I haven't read the sequel yet, which is A Master of the Future. It opens up with a fight, so maybe that's the prison fight between Bruce and Cyrus Gold. The Solomon Grundy to be. Maybe they fused both stories together. I don't know yet. But to me, as of now, everything new in this they just made up to enhance and extend the story. And I thought it worked. I really enjoy it. So hopefully this one's saved so I don't have to do it a third fucking time. But that was Batman Gotham by Gaslight. And thank you for watching.